Paige, here's our lesson for Monday, July 14th, and we'll just jump right into it, taking a look at the face-on view here. This is our first swing of the day, and something that you pointed out, and we noticed, you kind of had the thought of kind of staying behind the ball here, and so in an effort to do so, um, got a little excessive with our shoulder tilt here. Call this our secondary spine angle, the spine leaning away from the target. And, we've said the right shoulder is always going to be lower than the left because the right hand is lower than the left hand on the golf club. But we've kind of exaggerated that a little bit, and so um, we'll see what happens as a result of some of that as we take the club back. So we'll draw our lines here, one up the outside of our right leg and one up out of the left foot here, and then just kind of click through the video and watch as we take the club back. Doing a good job of trying to stay centered here over the ball, but our residual kind of golf swing DNA carries us to where we slide just a little bit. You can see over here on the, use a different color here, we use yellow. See over here on the right hip and right leg there has kind of gone outside of that line, so we've kind of shifted to the right, and there's a pretty good amount of pressure and weight into our right leg here. And to finish the backswing then, rather than turn as much as we had been last week, we kind of lift up with the hands and arms there to get the club up in a position to hit. And so a couple of things are going to happen here. We've had that lateral move off of the ball, and so for consistency's sake and be able to get back to the ball and have the bottom of the arc be in front of the ball again, we're going to have to do some pretty good lateral work to the left. So number one, for consistency, we want to kind of stay more centered over the ball and then shift left as we swing down. But secondly, when we move off the ball to the right this way, away from the target, yes, we have to work to get back to the left so that we can create that space for the hands and the club to swing from the inside. So we kind of predispose ourselves here to not be able to get the club inside the path from the inside, so we can kind of swing out to the ball and hit that draw we're looking for. So we'll just keep clicking through here, and we will shift to our left pretty good here and get down on the ball, go ahead and hit our shot and come up to a finish. And in the grand scheme of things, if we swung a golf club like that for the rest of our life, we could probably go out and play some pretty fun golf. We'd have some random, frustrating, bad shots as a result of kind of having so much lateral movement, but overall the motion is not bad there. So if we go back to address, and I draw this red box just kind of around our head there, and we just want to stay centered. We're doing a pretty decent job of staying centered there. Kind of move off the ball a little to the right there. Head goes up a little bit, and then the head is going to shift with the rest of the body as we shift left. Kind of move all around that frame of the red box there as we kind of go through the swing. So ideally, we'd like to be a little more still with our upper center, and if we use our head as the kind of measuring point, keep that a little bit more still. So we talked then about kind of cleaning up that backswing, and the previous lesson we had kind of done some work on that and gotten some good results, and so it won't take much to kind of clean that up. Just the thought of for you was that as we turn that left shoulder more down and feel like the weight in the left leg may even increase, so if at address maybe we're 55-45, 60-40, then there's an increase in weight into the left leg. Whether there is or not, if you measured it, who knows, but that's the feeling that we have, and that'll help us stay centered. So I have the square around our head again here, the box around our head again here, and then just looking at that first, we'll click through the video, and this idea of turning the left shoulder down and staying a little bit more over our left leg let us really stay centered. Our upper swing center, where the two collarbones come together in front of us, our head really stayed centered there, and so we're really right on top of the ball, and that's going to give us a chance to get back down to the ball and hit it more consistently, because if that's where the bottom of the arc was, just in front of the ball at address, we've moved the bottom of the arc maybe even slightly forward of that, but we certainly haven't moved it behind that, and so we'll always be able to get that club to come back down onto the ball first and then into the turf. So as we kind of click through here, we're shifting left towards the target. So yeah, maybe our head wants to go just a little bit that way with it, but really solid strike there. And we'll come up to finish, and then we'll talk about a couple of things that we did to achieve that. So we'll draw our standard lines here, one off of our right, outside of our right leg, and then one up the left foot there, up to our left shoulder. And then I drew the yellow line there, and that really just shows us that the ball position is really right underneath that point in the sternum there where the clavicles come together, and that's, if we say that that's kind of the center of our swing, then you're right on top of that. And if we might be slightly behind that with the head because we're tilted a little bit away from the target, that's perfect. So that's about as behind the golf ball, however we would want to define that. But that's about as behind the golf ball as we'd ever want to be at setup, and then just try to turn in place there as best we can to maximize our ability to consistently hit the ball first, then the ground, kind of in the same place there. So if we, again, this was the thought where in the backswing, we just wanted to stay centered, and if that meant that we needed to feel more pressure into the left leg, we can do that. And so we did a good job of staying centered there, and then we'll talk about driving with the left hip towards the target and the couple of things that that's going to do to help us, which you do a really good job of here. So we'll just use a couple of lines here, our line up out of our left leg, and then we'll use a green line right there by our head to kind of monitor how much we move our head towards the target, if at all. Because last week, and that video's on the right-hand side, last week we did a good job of staying centered, but the missing piece was we got a little bit too much leftward movement or targetward movement with the upper body, and so we'll see the difference here on the, first we'll move the video on the right-hand side and see that we do a pretty good job of staying centered there, which is what we wanted to do. So that's a pretty good top of the backswing position right there. In fact, I like that top of the backswing position a lot. And we'll go to the top of the backswing from our video today. And that's a pretty good top of the backswing position right there as well. We did something a little different here though. On the left, we already were kind of thinking about driving that left hip towards the target, where on the right-hand video, we weren't focusing on that as much. We were just trying to turn in place over this club shaft that's on the ground underneath us. But what we'll see is, as we kind of click these videos forward, the difference is going to be how the upper body kind of stays in place and stays over the ball rather than shifting towards the target. So as we move down and try to shift into the left side, we see on the right-hand side how we did a really good job of kind of staying right there where that green line was on the left-hand video with the blue blouse on. On the right-hand side, though, we see where the upper body and the head just moved way in front of the ball there. So we wanted to shift to our left, and we did, but our whole body went with us. And so when we get that far in front of the ball, it becomes problematic again to just, it's almost the same as staying too far behind the ball. We just have kind of moved the bottom of the swing arc too far away from where it should be, which is just slightly under and in front of the ball. So on the right-hand side, we get that far in front of the ball, and typically what we'll do is just kind of throw our hands at it and try to have the club catch up to the ball. Whereas on the left-hand side, we're able to just continue to kind of turn and swing the club down and out through the shot, and we'll come up to a finish, and they look somewhat similar, but how we got there is very different. So the ideal top of the backswing position would be somewhere between these two, where on the left-hand side we knew that we were really exaggerating this left hip feel of it staying and then really driving towards the target. So, you know, that could be a little bit too much. And then over here on the right-hand side, we're really right, what we call stacked right on top of ourselves there, where the hips have kind of turned in place, and then the shoulders have turned in place with the left shoulder down and the head right over that club shaft on the ground. So, you know, on this right-hand look, if we stayed a little more left in this right-hand video over here in the white blouse, if we stayed a little bit more left in that video, then that would be absolutely perfect. And so if we were to combine that with this drive leftward with the lower body over here on the left video, then we'd be in just absolutely perfect. So, you know, when we're working on top of the backswing position, you know, be thinking about this video on the right and the idea that, you know, we had that club shaft. You can go back to practicing and go ahead and lay that club shaft on the ground and just turn right over that and feel a little bit more weight on the left side. But then from that position that we're looking at on the right-hand side there, then kind of revert to this thought over here on the left in the blue blouse, where then we're driving that lower body. We're taking that hip line, that belt line, and driving that towards the target while the head stays back. And then you get the blend of these two here and be in really good position to hit the golf ball. And this guy here is a pretty good example of kind of what we're working towards. We've got the lines and the drawn on him, and we'll just kind of click him through the video, and we'll see how centered and really quiet the head and the body is. As he gets to the top of the swing, you know, those hips have kind of even turned in place, whereas for us, we were very exaggerated to the left leg. But as we kind of get comfortable with this, this will be a little bit more of the look where we're kind of really stacked right over our feet there, the head staying in place, and then as we drive down, we'll see that kind of sit down move into the left leg, and then that left hip and thigh really driving through the line, but the head's right there in the circle. Like we talked about, the hands win the race there and get back over the golf ball before the club head gets down to the ball. So the hands are going to be ahead of the ball when contact is made, and then down and through the shot, and just kind of continue to rotate through it and kind of get into that position like you are over that left leg. And that's kind of ultimately the look that we're going for. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but this is the idea, where we're able to turn the left shoulder down right in place there. So he gets to the top of the backswing, and we can see if he had a club shaft down here somewhere where the green line is between his feet, that would kind of match, you know, how his shoulders have turned, left shoulder down there. We see over here on the right hip, you know, there's no movement past that line out of his right leg. And then again on the way down, we're going to lead with the lower body, a shift into the left side, driving that left hip towards the target, and then it naturally is going to start to rotate, swinging out a little bit towards the second baseman with the hand path. The club's going to catch the ball slightly on the way down, enter the turf and exit the turf. And if you keep working on that top position and driving that left hip, I know what we're going to work on for next week, and I'll let that be a surprise, but you might see it in this video somewhere right in here. But keep working on what we talked about. Stay centered and clean up that top of the backswing position, and then just really focus on getting that left hip, that left belt line, driving to the left and towards the target. And we'll see you next week.